Hey everyone, it's Tran here. So I am a Los Angeles-based photographer, and up until the pandemic, I was shooting a lot of weddings. I have always and still do shoot a lot of portraits and families and babies. And in the pandemic, because all of my weddings were wiped out, I started doing a lot more commercial work, branding, like personal branding stuff and products. And I'm happy to report that in 2020, my company did not take a hit at all in money. We were able to maintain our revenue, and a lot of that was just an effective marketing, knowing our audience and being able to pivot and adapt to their needs. So I wanted to share with you a couple of the most effective marketing strategies that I have found to work for my photography business, and I'm confident that it's going to help you as well. So the first thing that I want you to think about when we talk about marketing is what, how, and why. Like, where are you going? You know, a lot of us I see will, when I say marketing, or like, you got to do social media, you got to do Instagram. And what people will do is they'll just start posting like crazy on Instagram, but with no real purpose, you know, or like people will say, you have to blog. And it's like, oh, really? Okay. And they start blogging. But like the analogy I like to use is like, if I told you walk on this road for a mile, it'd be like, okay, but like how motivated would you be for me to tell you to walk a mile down this road, right? It's it's not that motivating because you don't know the why. Now, what I did is I told you the what. I told you what to do. I told you to walk a mile down this path. But I didn't tell you how to do it, and I didn't tell you why to do it. So it's like, okay, great, Caroline, you told me to walk down this path for a mile. I don't know why I need to do that, but so then now the next thing a lot of people will do is they'll look for the how. Okay, so I need to walk a mile down this path. How do I do it? And they'll, okay, I can ride a bike, I can walk, I can take a hoverboard, right? They talk about the hows. Now, the hows can help you get there, but without the why, you're not going to really have that motivation, and you're not going to have that drive and that passion to get down there. And that's how I see marketing as well. It's easy for me to tell you, you know, you need to start marketing. You need to start posting on Instagram, right? But if you don't know the why of your doing it, there's not going to be you won't even know if you got to your destination, because you don't even know where that destination is or what it's supposed to look like and why you even need to get there, right? So the why, for example, is because your goals are at the other end. If I said walk down this mile, because at the other end is what you've been waiting for. At the other end of this mile is your favorite food. At the other end of this mile is your ideal client. At the other end of this mile is your dream photo shoot. Right now, you're like, okay, I'm going to walk there because I want to get there. And that's how marketing is. Like, you have to know your why. Like, why are you doing it? And that's what's going to keep you doing it consistently. Because as you'll find out with marketing, it's all about consistency. You have to maintain it. It's not like just do it once and then drop it, right? I will cover a couple ideas that you can do, set it and forget it type style. But for the most part, like, you have to have heart behind it, and your clients are going to hear it too. If I tell you, buy a photo session with me, I've only told you what to do, right? Now I could tell you how, like, oh, you can do 4 easy payments. You know, we can do as many payments as you need. You're going to come to this location and you're going to wear this. I told you the how we're going to do the photo shoot. But is that going to sell it to them? Is that going to make them want to do the photo shoot? They still don't know why they need to do it, right? But now if I say, because your child is growing so fast, because from 10 years from now, you're going to forget what it was like being a mother to a newborn. That is what's going to make them want to book, right? So for me, I always say you have to start with why. You have to lead with purpose. Ask yourself first, before you start marketing anything, ask yourself, why should they even buy this from you? Why do you even want to sell this to begin with, right? Because if you can have a strong enough why, the what and the how is going to be really easy after that, because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, yes, like I I need I resonate with that. I need whatever it is that's going to solve this problem for me, right? So, um, the first thing to ask yourself is, well, no, not the first thing. Sorry, let me take that back. What a lot of photographers start at is asking themselves, what do they want? And it might look like, I want to be a high-end photographer. I want to own a photo studio. I want to make 6, 7, 8 figures in photography. Okay, that's great, right? It's great that you said that's what you want to do. But how are you going to get there? So it's easy to just say, yeah, I want this, right? But if you start talking about the how, like, okay, it could be raising prices, it could be networking more, it could be running ads. Now, the more important part, and the part that I ask most people to start with, is actually asking yourself, why do you even want to do it? Because to get to becoming a high-end wedding photographer, to become a 6, 7 figures in photography studio is a lot of work. And if you don't have a strong enough why, you're not going to want to do it. So and same thing with your clients, right? Like, sure, they want beautiful photos, but why do they want beautiful photos? Like, you need to convince them of the why, and you also need to know the why. For example, your why could be like, I want to document legacies. I want to touch people's lives. I want to make an impact to help people be seen. Right now, that is important. I want to empower women, like with my boudoir photography. My purpose is I want to empower women. For weddings and families, I want to document legacies. I want to create images that they will remember and be able to pass down forever. When you lead with purpose, the what and the how is going to fall in place. Because, for example, knowing that I want to document legacies, it makes it easy. Well, if you need to document legacies to pass it down, you're going to need albums. You're going to need wall art, right? You're going to need great photography, because these are going to be the only photos that get passed down from generations to generation. So that's why when you know the why, everything else is much easier after that. And then the how, like the how is not so hard, to be honest. And the how is something you can even hire someone to do, but no one can tell you your why. Only you know your why. So if you can lead with your why, lead with your purpose, it's easy to make the rest of the pieces fit in place. One of my favorite quotes is by Maya Angelou, and I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's why I think having a strong why is so important, and especially in your marketing, because without a strong why, your marketing is going to sound flat, it's going to sound generic. But if you have a strong why, people will feel you. And when you shoot with purpose and when you create images with purpose, that's when people are going to remember how that made them feel rather than what you gave them or what you did, right? So the next thing that you would have to figure out is what to market. Before you could even run any kind of marketing campaign or create any marketing assets, you have to know exactly what are you even selling? What are you trying to, what's the purpose? What are you trying to get them to do, right? So the first thing that I would ask you to think deeply about is, what do your clients need? So, and even one step before that is, who are your ideal clients? So don't worry about who's actually booking you right now. I want you to think about who you would like to book. So take a moment and, like, you should, if you don't already have a journal out, have a notepad out right now. And I want you to just scribble down some attributes. I want you to close your eyes and just think about that ideal client, that perfect client. If your perfect client was to walk through the door right now, what do they look like? Give them a name even. What's their occupation? What's their relationship status? Where do they live? What's their favorite fashion brand? How do they like to dress? Where do they like to travel to? Right? These are all, like, you're creating that profile of who your ideal client is. Now, once you know who that ideal client is, think about, what are some of the things that they need? What are the things that they worry about? What keeps them up at night? What would basically I'm having you think of ways that you can connect with them. What are problems that they are looking to solve, essentially? Then the next thing I want you to make a list of is what products or services do you offer? It could be anything from album design, from photography, videography, um, design, event design, photo shoot design, hair and makeup, wardrobe design, um, interviewing. I don't know. I'm just like thinking of all the things that I do. Um, Once you have those two lists, what you're looking for is where the two lists merge together. When you can find out what your clients need and what you actually offer, that's where you have something to market. So that's going to be the first step that you have to do today. Describe your client and list out what all of their needs are. Do they need baby portraits? Do they need, and even be more specific than that, do they need Valentine's Day cards? Do they need Easter bunny photos? Do they need birthday party photos, or socially distance? Do they need to be able to share their celebrations with family from afar? Do they need to be able to send gifts to their grandparents because they haven't been able to see their grandparents for so long? These are all needs that your clients have. Then think of all the things that you can offer and how can you solve those problems. And then for the sake of this exercise, you're going to make a list of things to market, and you can focus on one for this exercise, or you can, if you see a couple that kind of go together, then you can work on them kind of as a group, as a cluster. So the next thing I want you to think about is how can you provide value? For me, because my purpose is to help, to serve, to make an impact, to develop relationships, and to really connect with clients. That's what I want to do. So for me, I'm always looking to provide value. But that's also even if you don't genuinely want that, if you can at least provide value in somehow, that's what's going to make them connect to you, and what's going to make the marketing seem a lot more genuine and not forced on them, right? Because people don't like being sold to. So think of how can you provide value, and what do I mean by that? So number one, be relevant. Providing value could be like discussing things that they care about. Maybe they are really passionate about women's rights. And if you were to share stories about other women's rights, that's providing value to them, because that's something that they are interested in. That's what's going to make them follow you. Maybe they really worry about social justice. Those are other topics that you can cover. Maybe they are really passionate about the religion. If this all fits, if any of this fits in your ideal clients, then these are things that you can, include behind your company's value and in your marketing message as well. What makes them feel good? What makes them cry? And what makes them smile? Is it maybe they have really, elderly parents that they connect deeply with? So any content you put out there related to elderly parents is going to tug at their heartstrings. Maybe they really care about child development and raising strong little girls, right? So any topics that you talk about that resonates along those lines with them, if your photo shoots also represent that kind of stuff, then it's going to also speak to them. So I want you to think about these things, because this is how you're connecting with them beyond the sales pitch, because no one likes being sold to. So you're trying to find other touch points, other ways to connect with them, so that they can see you as a human, as someone with similar values and someone they can trust. That is before you even can start trying to sell to them. They need to trust you first, right? The second thing, when you're providing value, is you want to come from, in a sense, a place of authority. Like, think about what's your special sauce. Why should they listen to you? You want to be their problem solver. So whatever you think their problem is, maybe it's like not being able to connect with grandparents who are living so far away right now. Well, be their problem solver. How can you do that? Maybe you can do you can offer short little videos, or you can offer porch photo sessions that were really popular during quarantine. so that, and then sell prints that they can send to their grandparents after. And then another piece that I personally love is educational value. Education is a great way to make them aware of their problem to begin with, because a lot of people, like, there's, for example, one of my favorite products that I sell is called a baby's first year package. This is a 4-session photo package that covers anything from maternity, newborn, 6 months to a year, and anything in between. And the whole point is it documents the baby's first year. Now, these packages are equivalent to my wedding packages. They are big packages because it's 4 photo session with an album, that chronicles the baby's entire first year. Now, nobody is going to suddenly wake up and think, I need to book 4 photo sessions today, right? Like, that is something I had to educate them about. So in my marketing strategy, part of it is providing value in showing them what an amazing gift it is when you have a baby's first year album to show after. When you have this book that covered everything from pregnancy all the way till they turned 1. Like, how precious is that for the baby to look at when they're older, right? And how precious for mom, because moms are so busy nowadays, they don't have time to make their own albums. So to be able to create that for them, I'm educating them on how cool it would be to have someone else create this time capsule for them. You also want to educate them on what would happen if they didn't act now. What if they didn't book now? What would happen? They would miss out on these opportunities, So I'll talk about either personal stories like, oh, I didn't know to do I thought I could shoot my own newborn. Boy, was I wrong, because when you've just pushed the 8-pound baby out of your vajayjay, you are just spent, and you cannot possibly think about doing a photo shoot at that time. And by the time you've regained your strength, you've missed the newborn window. But they wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell them that, right? So these are things that you can, in your marketing message, subtly include. You don't have to be as blatant as I am, but I get straight to the point. How would their life improve if they did act now? Show them like how amazing it would be, like, to be able to give grandparents this book of their baby. What would stop them from hiring you? So I want you to think about the roadblocks that they would have. And then you can start creating education or, how to communicate those roadblocks preemptively about that. So maybe it's too big of a chunk of money. Okay, well, we offer payment plans, right? That could be a whole marketing campaign in and of itself, because budget might be one thing that prevents them from hiring you. Currently, it might be social distance, like worry about COVID. What could stop them from booking a session with you is they're worried about the pandemic. Well, you can also do a little, I've done Instagram posts and stuff where I've showed them how I do outdoor studio sessions, open air studio, socially distanced. I use a long lens, right? This is all things that I am preemptively educating them about, knowing that this is probably going to be a roadblock and a barrier for them to booking me. So thinking about these are also great marketing messages that you can start creating. And then think about how you can help. But that's like the biggest thing that I'm always asking myself, how can I help? Even when you get on a call with a client, let them talk it out and you just listen and figure out, how can I help? Just keep asking yourself, how can I help? Listen to their situation. And if you can find a solution to their problem, they're going to book you. It's like very likely to book you, right? So we talked about the why, right? And start with your why, because that's what's going to drive the whole marketing campaign for you. That's going to drive your whole branding message and identity. That's what's going to give it a cohesive message. And it's going to be what's the most passionate message as well. So then we also talked about the what you need to create, right? Like we talked about creating educational stuff. We talked about creating relevant stuff. And what was the second one? I forget now. The middle one, authoritative. Yeah. So we also talked about what you can do to be in a place of authority to them. Now let's talk about the how. how are you going to achieve that? So you know the why, you know the what. We're going to spend a big chunk of today discussing the how. So the first one that I love is creating free guides. These are educational content. I think about things that my clients are wondering. So for wedding clients, for example, I created the guide to the best outdoor wedding venues in Southern California. Why? I'm trying to get people before they even book the venue, because chances are that means they have not booked a photographer yet. So if I can get them before they even, so I'm trying to think of someone who's freshly engaged. What are topics that they are going to be Googling? They're going to be Googling venues. Why did I choose outdoors? Because I love outdoor weddings. I don't love church weddings. I love outdoor weddings. So I'm specifically targeting the outdoor bride when I do something like this. And then the thing too is make it beefy, but don't just give it away for free. You got to get something in exchange for it, right? Now, I design a lot of these in Fundy using their magazine designer. And a lot of these just drag and drop. So what I did was I featured all of my favorite local outdoor wedding venues that I want to shoot at again. And they do have to give me their email address to be able to get this. So then that opens up email marketing, which we can talk about in a little bit. But for this one, I just want to talk about how to build it. If I need to update photos, it's easy to just come in and drag and drop photos into here. So let's say I shot another wedding at this venue and have better photos now, then I can come back and update these photos. If I want to add new venues, I can easily come in and create a new spread and create new, add new venues to this PDF and keep it updated annually. So this is what it kind of looks like on my website. And I want you to think creatively, think about what a potential client who's about to book you would be interested in. My wedding clients are probably looking for outdoor wedding venues. My engagement photo sessions, tips for great engagement photos, boudoir photography tips, how to I'm like thinking what other things are good guides, like what to wear for your engagement session, best places to shoot for your engagement session, best outdoor or wedding receptions, best outdoor wedding ceremonies. Right now, in order for them to be able to give you their email address, though, you need to make sure that it's like really good, like beefy content too. So not only do I tell them my favorite venues, but I actually include where to shoot and what time. So I'll say this spot right here gets the most light at this time of day and gets the most soft light at this time of day. You know, if you're at this venue, make sure you go to this spot at sunset for this shot right here. If you're shooting earlier in the day, go to this other spot instead. So these are things that will be too long for a blog post, but would be perfect and something that they would be willing to give you their email address for. So that's the first thing that I would ask you to do or encourage you to do for your marketing, right? I want to give you 4 things you can do immediately. So the first thing would be make a list of things that your potential client is worried about or would Google before they even book a photographer or a videographer, whichever you are. So think about what are their concerns? What are they researching? And this is a great chance for you to look like an authority in and an expert in the field because you're offering tips. And this is also a great way for you to, in a way, educate and groom them as well, because then now you're showing them that actually you should be looking for these things in a venue, or you should be looking for these things in, and like how to find a wedding photographer, how to find an engagement photographer, right? Like these are all really great topics that you can quickly design into a guide. The wedding planning guide for the minimalist bride, or the wedding planning guide for the perfect elopement, right? Any of these, like whatever your target audience, create a guide and you're basically educating them on what it's like to work with you. So you could say like, you know, these are the things to look for in a photographer. Oh, look, you happen to follow like meet all those criteria as well, right? How they should work with the client. Oh, look, that's, you can say, well, this is how I work with my client. So you're kind of setting the bar as well for them, and you're educating them on expectations on what it would be like to work with you. And then at the end, you can ask them if you have any questions, like follow up. So that is a really great marketing tip that you should start implementing today. So the second tip I have for you is to turn it into evergreen content. So you've created these great guides now using the magazine designer. Where do you post them and what do you do with them? One great thing is to put them up on your blog for SEO, because these are great evergreen content. And what I mean by that is you can now set it and forget it. You've created it. Google is forever. Put it up on your blog. Make sure you have, SEO keyword rich all over it. And anytime a bride, now Google's like Southern California outdoor wedding venues, your guide will pop up, right? Or what should I wear for my engagement session? Your guide will pop up and they'll be like, oh, wow, look at what this photographer has to say. Include a link in your IG bio. So if if you only create one, awesome. Just have that in your IG bio. Like, most luxury wedding venues in California or whatever, right? Click on it for free download. Now, once you have that going and you're collecting their email addresses, if you want to take it the next level, you can start running Facebook or Google ads to it. Now, I don't personally do that, but it's always an option, and there's people who have great success with that. You can also have inbound links to it. So what that means is like finding other people in the industry to feature it. So with my outdoor wedding guide, for example, I send it to the wedding planners and the venue. Like, hey, look, I featured your venue or your work in this guide. Would you like to share it? So then now they are posting it and they're giving me inbound links and sending people to me as well. And this is kind of what it looks like on the website. You create that magazine in Fundy Magazine Designer, upload it to your website as a download. Well, not to your website directly, but I use Flowdesk for this. You can use MailChimp, or I'm sure there's other companies that I just don't know at the moment. But you create a form where they fill it out, then they would get this download. Whoops, I went too fast. Okay. Yeah, so download now. Once they click that, I now have their email address and now I can follow up with them. So for me, this also follows a sequence of other emails where it's like, hey, are you interested in this? Like, are you interested in what to wear for your engagement photos, right? And you keep them engaged, and then you always like, if you need wedding photography, like let me know if you'd like to set up a call when you're ready to talk about a photographer. The third one that I recommend is personalize your materials. Anything you send out to clients, take the opportunity to personalize it. And now what I love so much about Fundy Designer is that I can quickly change out these photos depending on their venue and their style. So if it is a desert couple, if it's someone who's inquiring about shooting portraits in Joshua Tree, I'm going to drop in Joshua Tree. The content is all the same. The only thing that I change out is the cover photo or the photos in it. So all of the couple photos will be replaced by Joshua Tree photos. Then I save that. Then next time anyone who inquires for Joshua Tree, I already have a pamphlet or a brochure specifically for Joshua Tree. Next time somebody inquires about the beach, same exact brochure in Fundy. The only thing I did was just change out all of the photos. Every single portrait, I changed it out to a couple at the beach. And then export it, save it, and I send it to them after that. And it's great because you now make them, you want them to see themselves in the photo, right? By doing this, they can feel it. They see what it's like being in there. And, I realized what I forgot to do is show you what a sample of one of the guides. Okay, so this here, for example, whether it's a magazine, whether it's a brochure, what I do is I go ahead and design it here. I change out the photos depending on who's inquiring, and then I export it. Once I export it, I put it up on I put it up on Album Proofer, and I send them this link actually. So then they can now click through it and see, oh, so you can see here, there's a little intro about me so that they can learn about me, the table of contents, venue 1, sample photos of reception, samples of ceremony, one spot at that place, another spot, another ceremony location there, a different location. So this is one venue with multiple, like they do multiple weddings there. So depending on where you want to book, but what a resource this is for them now, right? If they were interested in Saddle Rock Ranch, they can now come here and see all the different spots that they can get married at, that they can photograph at, all of my favorite spots. Yes, there's animals on this location. There's this cute little like vintage car area. There's this awesome door that we can pose with. So these are all like things that any bride planning her wedding is going to love. And these are all done quickly in the magazine designer, and you just drop it in. Like I just duplicate like spreads, and then I can just drop in photos. This is another one, right? Showing them the different times. Where's the best spot to catch sunset? You know, secret spots to catch certain shots. Where the sun shines and which direction to shoot it from. If you want backlighting, which direction to shoot it from. If it's high noon, where you should shoot it at. When is the best, you know, place to do the couple portraits, best time, best place. So this kind of gives you an idea of how I do that. So once I have that, that's how they get any of their portrait packages as well. And I can, like I said, just quickly personalize it to what I think their style is. The other thing that I want that you should be doing if you're not already is show, don't tell. Like I said, you know, if you're trying to sell wall art or albums, don't tell them about it. You have to show it to them. In the beginning, I was not able to sell wall art because people didn't see, like, sure, you say, oh, you should print photos. Okay. You should, you know, send photos to your parents. Okay. You should hang it up in your wall. It's like, oh, I love that idea. And even for me personally, I love the idea of wall art for so long. But I never did it. And the reason why was because I couldn't envision what it looked like on my wall. So with Fundy Designer, they have a lot of template rooms that you can do, and you can put them up. And these are all a matter of drag and drop. So we will do IPS sessions with them. Well, Zoom now, Zoom IPS sessions with them. And we show them these rooms like, hey, look at what this would look like on your wall. And as they are, they can tell us like, oh, you know, I actually want, like, I really love the flower girl. Like, can you include a photo of the flower girl? Then it's like, okay, well, we can look into swapping the flower girl out for this spot. Or do you want to try a different arrangement to maybe add 2 more photos up on this wall? Or maybe we could make this smaller, and, you know, you can play around with all the different arrangements. But when you can show it to them, they are more likely to buy it. If they can see it, then they don't have to imagine it anymore, because do not rely on your clients having good imagination, right? Like, I feel like sometimes even for me as a creative, I had a hard enough time trying to imagine what the work was going to look like on my wall. So being able to see it, now that just takes away the thinking, and it allows me to feel instead, right? Instead of trying to think, oh gosh, do I put the 8x10 next to the 11x14, right? I'm not worrying about that. I'm just looking at this and going, gosh, my wedding was so gorgeous. Oh, look at that moment when my husband picked me up. And I just remember, you know, feeling the breeze in my skin, and oh, like, yes, I would love to wake up to this and look at this every day when I enter the living room. That's where you want your clients to be, because that's when they'll be in the more likely to buy state, right? A bonus is you can actually use a photo of their home. So if I was to do a portrait session in their house and I see a great blank wall, I will take a picture of that blank wall and use their blank wall to do the layout with. The other thing is maybe their house isn't so neat, but you can at least get a sense of their style. Then you can find a stock room that fits their style, but looks cleaner and better. And then you can drop the photos in like that. And that gives them a really good idea of what it will look like in their house, right? Like maybe she didn't think to put these 3 photos together. Now she can see like, oh my gosh, like how cute is that? It would be me with the girl and the little boys all in one picture and our big family together. Like, oh, that's so cute. Like, and they are more likely to say, yes, I need all 3 photos now, because maybe she was only thinking about this one photo. Maybe she was thinking, I just want this one enlargement, but you can say, oh, look how cute these look as a triptych. And she would not have thought that had you not shown it to her. Here's another example of like a living room that you can drop photos in. And the design process behind it looks like this on the back end. So if I was to do an IPS session with them, I could just live have this pulled up, and it's drag and drop at this point. Like, oh, you want to see what it looks like with this photo instead? Then drag that in there. Oh, you want to see it with that one here? Oh, you're not sure about this one? Let's replace it with this one and see what it looks like. Oh, do you think it's too big? Yeah, we can make it smaller. And play around with different arrangements there. There's a lot of auto arrangements that you can do too, where it'll automatically move the photos around. And if you've used Fundy before, you know what I'm talking about. It's so easy to resize images here. If I dropped another photo right here, it will automatically create 2 photos instead. The fourth thing I want you to think about is telling stories. A lot of times, if you look at these photos individually by itself, it's pretty, but how amazing to put it together all in one story. So with this here, this is an Instagram carousel, and I created this as well using the Fundy wall art. You know, this, if I was to only post this photo alone, you would think, okay, family with a cute little boy, right? And that's it, that's fine. But if you look at the carousel I created, such a big miracle and such a little boy. It's a story of their IVF journey. It's a story of the injections she had to go through to get to the moment where she was able to be pregnant when they thought it wasn't possible. And now they have this adorable little boy that was gifted to them, you know, and their whole thing was like, you know, nature said no, science said maybe, but God said yes. So that's their story. That's their journey. And this was like a lot of, you know, 1,301 people like this video, right? So that's how many people connected with this video. And I think it's more than if I had just posted this one photo alone, because honestly, it's like a good family photo, but it's also just another family photo, right? What makes it different? What makes a difference is the vulnerability that this couple was willing to share with everyone. And so by telling stories, I think albums are honestly the best way to tell stories, but people don't always see that. People don't always value that. When I put together carousels like this is where they can appreciate the layout factor, because this is a swipe. As you are swiping across, there's 2 things that I love about creating this. One is that it increases your exposure on Instagram, because as you know, with Instagram, it gives you suggested feeds, right? Like, oh, I think you're going to like this post. Now, what happens is when it's a carousel, can you see that? When it's a carousel, there's actually, do you see me swiping? Okay. So when it is a carousel, there's 10 photos or up to 10 photos. It actually is going to populate again. Have you noticed that? Where Instagram will show the first photo to somebody, and if they don't swipe, it actually shows it again a second time. So now you're getting double the exposure than had you just posted a single image. What I like about this swiping feature, though, is that it makes people realize there's more to come, because sometimes they'll swipe it. If they swipe it once and they're all individual photos, they either might not realize that there's more to come, or they might not be motivated to keep swiping because it doesn't tease them. But as you can see from here, they swipe once and it's not finished yet, right? So it's like, wait, I got to keep going. Oh, there's more. Okay, let me keep going, right? So it's almost like an album layout. You can see, like I do, 2 ups and 3 ups, and also full bleeds and stuff as well. And I think this indirectly also pushes album sales, because it shows them the power of what it's like having all the photos strung together. You know, it's not about a solo hero image anymore. This solo hero image might be something that they post on that they will print on their wall. And that is great. You got one wall art from it. But when you can show them the power of these images, how they look together like this is what's going to make them realize, oh, an album, you know, because this is kind of like flipping through the pages of an album, right? You could even upload your 10 spreads on here if you know, and show people what it's like flipping through an album and what a better story it can tell. You can capture details that you may not necessarily print on your wall, but looks amazing in, you know, as a 2-up or 3-up page. And that's also going to increase your chances of selling wall art that's like a gallery that has multiple photos up together. This is what it looks like on the back end when I'm creating in this. What I do in this situation is I have a template. I created one, and this serves as my template. And then after that, I just have to drag and drop. So I design it as one long layout. That's basically, the ratio is like 1:10. And then afterwards, I export them into 10. So as 10 little photos after. And that's how I ensure that they all line up together. But these have really good engagement on Instagram. It makes them look through all 10 photos. So in summary, we talked about why you do what you do. And I really want you to start with there if you haven't already. Think about, like, why do you love what you did? Why you do so much? You know, it's not easy running a photography business. So you obviously have a big passion in it to want to do this. It's more than just about taking pictures. It's more about than just selling packages or selling prints. There's something deeper there. And I want you to think hard, because that is what you're going to use to propel your marketing message. I want you to lead with your purpose, lead with that why. You know, like, you want to touch people. You want to connect people. You want to make an impact for people. You want to document legacies for people. You want to be able to like create time capsules that their children and grandchildren are going to be able to remember. You want them to be able to share their stories with family and friends who are not able to be physically close to them right now. That is your why. Once you know the why, right, you can think about the what. So what are their problems, and what do you have to offer that has that can solve those problems for them, right? Like, family is kept far apart, physically apart. Well, what can we do? We can send prints to each other. We can send albums to each other. We can create digital albums to share with them, right? And then the how, this is where you are going to market to them now, how they can have their problem solved. And so some of the things we talked about, and these are the things that I want you to start doing today. Think about how you can educate them on their problem, because they might not be even aware that they have a problem. Educate them on how their problem can be solved. Educate them on what would happen if they didn't solve their problem. You know, grandparents would miss a whole year of the child's growth because there were no photos. Grandma would feel lonely because she's in another state by herself, away from her grandchildren. What would it look like if they did hire you? Grandma would now have an album of her grandkids, and it would make her day when that album arrives at her doorstep and she's able to connect with the grandkids through these amazing photos, these amazing wall art that she'd be able to put up, right? Create evergreen content based on these marketing materials you create. If you create beautiful magazines or beautiful brochures, make sure it has good SEO and make sure people can find it forever. Honestly, this guide was created like 3 years ago. It still does hot today, and people still subscribe to it, and it helps me grow my email list so that I can retarget and market to them again later when the timing is right. Make it personalized. Switch out the cover photos based on who and what they are and where they want to shoot. Make the location relevant to them. You can keep the wording the same, you know, like, make your job easy. The numbers might be the same, but the sample photos you use in it. If it's a wedding brochure, you can make it drop the photo specific to that venue. If it's at, a beach venue, then you're going to, even though the pricing and the wording might all be the same, you could drop all photos that happen to be beach weddings. If it's a colorful wedding, if they are really fun, young, spunky couple, every photo you drop in is going to be colorful, bright, poppy, and spunk. If they are a moody couple and they like a little, maybe it's a dark church that they're getting married in, then replace all those photos with church photos and more, dramatic photos, right? Because maybe that's what will speak to them. So that's what's going to make them feel like, oh, this brochure was made for me, and increases their likelihood of buying from you. And lastly, tell stories. That's what we are. We are storytellers. Showing one isolated photo just doesn't do it justice. Show them the story that you were telling about them. This is why, like, some of the little detail shots go great with all of the wide shots, because otherwise they might print just this one family photo, right? Because that's all they needed on their wall. But if you can show them the story that you were trying to tell, this is how you can possibly upsell them albums. This is how you can upsell them gallery wall art. You might be able to even upsell them slideshows. And Fundy also creates great slideshows out of the album as well. That could be a complimentary thing that you give to them as well, because they're going to share it with people, put your logo at the end of it. If I created a slideshow out of this one with my logo at the end and I sent it to them, chances are they're going to share it with their friends and family. And now it's promotion for me. I didn't give them the slideshow. I posted it directly on my Instagram feed. So what did they do? They shared this Instagram post with people. So now a lot of their friends and family are coming to my Instagram to look at it. There's no better marketing than that. That's free. I didn't have to pay anything for that. I posted it up, and now it's like a warm market too, because all of their friends who love them are already going to love the photos that much more. I mean, strangers identified with the story as well, but people who actually know them, like, think about how much more they're going to connect with this. And the next time they are looking for a family photographer, they're going to think about this awesome story of their friend. And hopefully I'll be the first person they think of, and they will come back and hire me. That's the goal, right? So, I'm excited to see what you create with this. Get out there today. These are 4 things that you can do today. All of these can be created in Fundy software, and easy to do. Drag and drop, personalize it, and you can keep replacing the photos as you get new customers that come in and update it work as well. I'd love to see it. Please stay in touch with me. If you would like more tips on photography, you can use your phone, like act like you're going to take a picture of this, and there should be a little link that pops up. Click on that link. I have a ton of free guides, free photography guides. That's going to help you improve your photography and business as well. So I'd love to see what you do with this. Tag me if you use any of these strategies. Please share it with me. I want to see, and if you run into any questions or any obstacles along the way, let me know. I'm always happy to help. And you can keep in touch with me at my Instagram, which is @CarolineTran, and also my website with a lot of free educational content there is carolinetran.education.com. So thank you for your time today. And I hope you go out there and try these 4 nuggets that I've just shared with you, and please share them with me. I would love to see it. Have a good day.
Yay.
So as I was saying, this is being recorded, streaming live to Facebook. So as soon as we stop it, you can go to the Facebook video section on Fundy software and grab that QR code again. So just, wait till we're done. You can grab that. Thanks so much, Caroline. We've got a crap load of questions. That's a technical term. Coming up. So that one of the big things, can you explain how you do the Instagram carousels in the wall art maker?
There seems to be a lot of questions about that one. You actually taught me that hack, Andrew.
Well, and I kind of forgot it. It is definitely a hack. It's something that we didn't design. Yeah, actually, you know what? I can you can maybe talk me through this, because I've never done it. I just kind of explained for you how to do it. I'll share my screen.
Why don't you You share your screen and open up to the wall art stuff, and I'll tell them the story about how it came about. But I literally texted Andrew and I was like, I need to be able to create this. What do I do? And so it's like all through text messaging that we figured
And
this out.
I had to really think about it because I was like, well, wait, what are you trying to do? I don't get it.
So you create, let's say that you want 10 carousel of 10, right? Then you create one piece on the wall art that is 1 by 10.
Yep.
And then when you export it as like evenly cut.
Expert for wallpaper. So we actually created this because we had a company that was creating large wall collages for event spaces, and they create these pieces of wallpaper that are like 3 feet wide, but they would design something like 90 feet wide, and so they needed the strips, and so we added that feature in there for that. So let me pull up a piece of wall art, and then you can talk it through and I will build it, and then people can kind of see what they're doing here. Okay, so let me share my screen. It's actually quite easy to do this. I'll share that. Okay, I assume everybody can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do like let's do like 5, right?
Okay. And I think just to make it easier to see, go like 2 by 10. Because the ratio is basically 1, right? Because Instagram, if you think about it, it's 1 by 1 for Instagram. So if you want it times 5, then it's going to be a 1 to 5 ratio. But if you do 1 to 5, it's going to be teeny tiny. So I usually do like 2, or, what did you end up doing, like 10 by 50 or something? Or
so I did 100 by 20.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's, and then now I'm going to double click in here. So now we just have a blank canvas, and that's where we can do.
So then now you put grids on it.
View. So let's set up the grid lines. So we want a grid every 20 inches. Is that right? Because
because it's 20 by 100.
Yeah. And then hit.
Yep. Yeah, you could take off the horizontal one if you want, but otherwise it gives you a sense of what's centered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then now you would design it as if it was one big album spread.
So we can go like this, and we can like drop those guys in there, and get some more exciting photos in here. This is not going to be a pretty design, but just so people can understand what we're doing here. Sorry, I need to get the. All right. Okay. So not a very pretty design, but then we go to wallpaper export.
Yep. And number of splits.
So width of splits. So we did 100. So we want 20 inches, right? So then we'll have 5 splits. And then overlap, we want nothing. This company, they had to have a 1-inch overlap. And I'll do export. And we're going to export this. Oh, sorry, I can't do the export because I don't have the original photos here with me. But what this will do is it will, if I do, this is 100 inches. So if I do 20 inches, it's going to give me 5 sections, and then we can upload those to.
So basically the individual images where you see those vertical lines at. And just perfectly cut.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the beauty is once you have this template set up for all future shoots, it's literally just dragging and dropping. And then just like how regular Fundy Designer and Album does, like if you decide to change it from 2 to 3, it'll automatically resize for you.
Yeah, Yep. And then also once you create this, you can save this as a design set, right? And then you can reapply that anytime within the gallery designer.
Yeah.
So,
What you said.
little bonus content there. Okay, okay. Hope that made sense to everybody. We'll have maybe Caroline, maybe we can do a blog post on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, so what other, let's go through some of the other.
So somebody asked, what can you recommend for people who are moving to a new area on how to market themselves, kind of get set up in a new area?
So if you haven't moved to the area yet, like I would say start marketing now. Start building up SEO there. I would look up places to shoot there. Anytime you're doing a visit there. And this is exactly how I started targeting destination weddings before I had kids, when I was doing destination weddings more. On whenever I traveled anywhere, or if I was there for a destination shoot, I would go around and shoot more stuff to attract more destination shoots, and then just writing blog posts about it. Romantic, like whatever your new city is, right? Like romantic engagement locations in whatever that city is, and then post a few photos. Even if you're not actually doing shoots there, it could just be scenic shots, just showing them how beautiful the landscape is there. And then the idea is that people will start finding you already before you even move there, and you can start lining up shoots already. Google is your friend.
Google is your friend. Let's see. I have one question from somebody actually emailed yesterday. Let me find this. Natalie even emailed me, was like, don't forget to ask this. Why don't you pull, come on. Oh, I'm having trouble. There we go. Here we go. I am brand new to marketing. I started a Facebook page a year ago for my business, but have not gained any new clients. I would like to create a website. I have done portraits for years and would love to showcase my portfolio. Looking for how to get going and what photographers use for websites and photo sharing, along with any other advice. So, I think
Summarize.
The easiest way to set up a website probably now is Squarespace if you have no idea what you're doing. If you want to invest some money in kind of probably WordPress, but it's, WordPress can take up a lot of time also. I don't know if you had any other options.
I use
for people.
I have used everything. So if you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer. I used to build my own websites from scratch, like back like HTML, like PHP, hard coding, everything.
And everything.
And yes, it's like back in the day, And so I then moved to WordPress, and I've been on WordPress for probably 20 something years now. Like I've been managing my blog on WordPress for that long. I started a new business called Magic Paper Studios, and my partner went ahead and started that on Squarespace. So then I had to learn Squarespace as well to do that. And then my education is built on lead pages. And so I'm happy to, and then I had a recent commercial client come to me for branding photos, and like her website sucked. So somehow I ended up I ended up upselling her on web design. So then I redesigned her website, and that was on Wix. So I can speak on any of those platforms if you have questions on it.
What do you think the easiest for a newbie is that really doesn't know what they're doing?
I use WordPress with flow themes. And I really like flow themes now has these flex blocks, and they're drag and drop. And I've been really enjoying that. I just built one this morning, actually. So I found that to be really easy. Squarespace, if you know nothing about coding, I think Squarespace is very easy, but it's really hard to custom. It's really easy if you want to do basic stuff, but it was hard for me because I do a lot of hard coding. Like even in WordPress, I'll decide I don't want it to look like this. I want to do that. And I ended up having to hire someone for Squarespace. And even for them, they were saying a lot of the stuff I was asking for, either required an upgrade in Squarespace plan. We had to pay extra for a lot of things. Or it required them to go in and hard code stuff. And so to me, I was like, I guess for what I do, I find it easier to do it on WordPress
Yeah.
because I already had access to all that.
Yeah.
So I can't, I think it's very individualized. I think lead pages is the easiest though, in the sense that it was all drag. Everything was drag and drop, blocks and drag and drop. So yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions about it. I have not used Show It yet, but I've heard good things about
Some
that.
people like PhotoBiz too. I know a couple of our ambassadors who use PhotoBiz and love it also. Do you know anybody that teaches Instagram for business?
No, but I think there's a lot of like, I mean, I'm always doing like just free educational stuff on my Facebook group if you're not in it already, and you're welcome to ask stuff there. I'm looking through the questions too. Let's see. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah. I'm trying to see the QR code. I think one of the most things was the carousel thing. So we'll do a blog post on that. We'll get busy on that.
Yeah.
I think. So is it video or just individual images you post in the carousel?
So I've tried it both ways. I've tried it as a video where I basically swipe it for them already. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then leaving it as a carousel where they have to swipe it themselves. I actually found more success letting them swipe it themselves, because I think
they were asking, so with a carousel, you can post multiple images, but maybe one of those is like a short video or something in between. Have you ever done that?
Oh, you can do that. Yeah. If that, is that what you mean? So what I like about, I didn't realize when I recorded that Zoom thing, it didn't show my phone. And so there was one demo that I did where I showed it on my phone. And I think, let me just pull up a carousel real quickly. So when you do, okay, so this is like a newer carousel that I did, right? It's kind of, so what happens is when an Instagram ad pops up, do you see how there's like a little, or not ad, but when it pops up on someone's feed, you see a little sliver of what's left.
And so you then it's to swipe.
Yeah, so they have to swipe to see, but I also found that a lot of people enjoyed this factor of it and will be like, oh, neat, like, look at that. They can kind of slide back and forth. Yep. So it has this like very interactive feel to it, versus if it's just moving for them, then it's not really different than just a slideshow, in my opinion. So it doesn't stand out as much. Now, the other reason why these carousels work really well is that Instagram will suggest it to someone feed the first time. Mm-hmm. Now, if they didn't look at it, or I think even if they do look at it, they will then feed the second image in the feed another time. And so it's almost like you're getting it pushed to people twice, like 2 times as many. I've never seen the third frame pushed, but I've seen Instagram push the first and second frame to people. So you're getting like double the exposure.
Yeah. Someone asked, what do you feel are most successful things to market for high school seniors, wall art or albums?
I think high school seniors, so like my intern right now, she does senior portraits.
Yeah.
And I was helping her with her marketing. And I noticed that you have to keep in mind who your audience is. Is it mom or is it the senior?
Yeah.
Because if it's the senior, she is going to want the cool Instagram photos.
Yeah, they don't
right?
care about wall art.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't lived enough life to treasure life in that way yet, sadly to say, right? It's like the person who has like the most youth in them are the ones who take it for granted. Yeah. And so they're not going to care about wall art or print. Well, for the seniors, you're going to try to get them to do like what I can see selling really well for seniors is any Instagram content. If you can sell them little 15-second snippets, like either little video snippets or little slideshows or something that anything they can post on their Instagram, they would be all over that. The wall art and the albums is where you can get mom on that. Like when I did a senior portrait a couple months ago, like last summer, during the shoot is where you can prime mom.
Yeah.
Because you could be talking to her already. It's like, oh, like it's like this is gonna be your first child leaving the nest, and like getting her all emotional about that. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm creating these photos for you to remember him by. Like I think this one right here.
He leaves forever.
Yeah. he might not ever move back after this. This might be the last couple weeks he's ever gonna live with you. Like,
never hold back on the heartstrings.
Yeah. And so then that's where you can like say, oh, like, like remind him, like when he comes home, that he always has a place here, like a big family photo hung right at the entrance.
Yeah. You can put the album on your coffee table, and then, after he's off to college, you can, every time you go downstairs, you can just open the album to remember him by, because he's not going to answer your phone or your texts once he leaves.
Yeah. And then you should also send him a print. You should send him to college with a print of the family too, because he's going to miss you so dearly.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
So we have a rule. So our younger son especially is very bad at returning texts. So our rule is, we text you 3 times and then we call. And if we call you 3 times and you don't answer, then we get in the car and we drive and we go see you. So if you don't want to see us, you got to answer one of those things.
It's been have you had to drive there yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, of course.
I know. It's just, you never know. I mean, we were all 18, 20, 21 before the stuff that, I'm glad my parents don't know everything I did.
Yeah. It's, the kids need more space than we give them. So I remember, somebody asked me, well, how did your parents get a hold of you in your dorms? Well, there was one payphone and they called, and if you're in your room, you talk to them. If not, there was like a message on your whiteboard on your door, and you might not talk to them for a month. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that is all. So again, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to comment on the Facebook post, and we will relay those to Caroline. She can jump in, or we can answer those. And then there are more questions coming in. Oh, we got a couple. Is there a couple more? Okay, you okay?
Yeah. So Leah asked,
marketing to couples who you won't meet until the day due to destination location, and then upselling them products, parents afterwards.
Wait, say that again.
How do you market your products to clients that you aren't going to meet in person until the actual day of the wedding, because it's destination, or they're flying in, or you're flying somewhere?
When you say market, do you mean print products?
I think so, yeah. How do you market the print products, the albums and the wall art, to them when you're not going to meet them before that?
I think a lot of the marketing actually comes like really subconsciously, I guess. It's, it's kind of like the traditional marketing that says like they have to have like 7 touch points before they're going to be interested in buying it anyway. The first time you show them an album, they're not going to be interested. I think the biggest advice I can give you is normalize your print products as much as you can. And what I mean by that is make it seem like everybody has it. It's not, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's really gorgeous, but it's so like what everybody has, like it's, and you have to have it. Like, that's just what you do. So you do that by posting pictures of it on your Instagram or social media, so that I'm assuming if they've booked you, they follow you. So leading up to the wedding, you have already fed them lots of information about people's albums. Whenever you get albums in from clients, record it and post it on stories, so that they are constantly being reminded like, oh, wow, yeah, all of the clients seem to get albums from that. Newsletters are great as well. So I do monthly newsletters. That's all run through Flowdesk as well, which does beautiful email layouts. In the monthly newsletter, think about what your marketing is for that month. So for my company, we will have monthly marketing meetings, and we think about what is the campaign, what's our focus this month. Then we make sure that all of the blog posts, all of the Instagram posts, all of the email messaging is going to be all pushing that thing. You don't want to confuse people, right? So if you're pushing too many things, they're going to be confused. So for example, like I have mini sessions coming up in May. So then I know that the whole month of April is going to be focused on family photos, mini session products that I want them to buy from the mini sessions, just kind of keeping it in that language. My January and February was heavily focused on engagements. So all of the messaging there is focused on like engagement albums, like the wall arts that I'm showing are all engagement focused type stuff. But you just want to keep showing it as much as you can, so that they ultimately like when you finally bring it up to them, it's not like, what is this album? Or why would I need an album? Because they've seen it so much from you that by the time you're ready to talk to them about it, you're not trying to convince them or educate them on what it is anymore.
Yeah. All right.
And
Well,
even in your brochures, like when you're sending out your pricing sheet or your proposal, you
Mhm.
should already have pictures of all of your products there. Like in the beginning, I used to not sell any products and I didn't understand why. And then I realized, like, it might have even been you, Andrew. It's like, well, do you show them what an album looks like? Oh, no. Like, shouldn't they just know what it looks like?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you have to put the pictures of the products on there for them to, and you have to like show it in real life, like show it on a coffee table, show it on a shelf, you know, so that they can visualize like, oh, that's how it exists in my life.
Yeah. And, that's the key for this is that if you're just showing albums once during one client meeting, that's not going to do it, right? You need those 10 touch points. Does your website have photos of your albums and your wall art and your prints on your website? Does your social media have that, right? You need all of those touch points. So it's so important. And, you
Yeah.
need
And then,
brochures, etc.
yeah. And Aaron was asking, would you wait? Okay, so Aaron was asking, at what point do you show clients this and are you using their own photos? So after the photo shoot, yes, use their photos to do mock-ups with. If you are doing an IPS session, whether it's virtual or in person, use their photos in the mock-ups because then now they really visualize it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do an album design, yeah, do it. I mean, Fundy has auto designer, so you just have like auto design and just do the layout of their photos in it because that's what's going to make them really want it. Before the shoot, yes, you're going to end up using your stock imagery, so to speak, your previous clients. But after the shoot, show it using their photos and they're going to love it that much more.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Okay. So let's keep the question coming on the Facebook page and we'll pop in and answer those, but can't thank you enough. Again, this is going to be replayed on our YouTube channel as soon as we cut the video, but this live stream will be on our Facebook page forever under the video section. So you guys go watch it. I know some people want the QR code. You can just scroll to that one and grab that. Super easy. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Caroline. You're awesome. I assume you're going to work out now.
Yes. Are we going to do a Zoom workout too?
Yeah, no,
Listen to
you are. Yep. And the people are going to, if we don't do the carousel instruction blog post, people are going to come roast us. So we got to get that done too.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
List.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.